Just how skilled are chatbots becoming at creative fiction? We asked that question last week and then asked 4 of the main chatbots to create a previously undiscovered play by William Shakespeare. You can check out the results in our previous video. This week we're going to conduct the same experiment with a different writer. First, the parameters, which you can skip if you watch the previous video. To avoid excessive wordiness, the prompt instructed the chatbot to only provide a brief synopsis and a short scene. In keeping with the theme, chatbots capable of providing pictures of the characters were asked to do so. Those who could not generate images were asked to provide a detailed description to put into another chatbot. To bring the scenes to life, an AI video generator was used. This week, the chatbots will be asked to write like Jane Austen. Will any of the stories feel like an Austen novel? Will any capture the satire, wit, social commentary, or irony of this iconic author? That's for you to decide. First, the prompt, which will be the same for all 4 chatbots. I want you to imagine a previously undiscovered Jane Austen novel. I want only a short synopsis of the book, including the ending and also one short scene. Please write the scene as a script. In spite of the prompt requesting short responses, some of the chatbots still got a bit wordy. The chatbots, for the most part, also did their own world-building pictures, which at times seemed to have little to do with the plots they themselves created. But as the experiment is to let them be the authors and illustrators of their own creations, that's what they will be, for better or for worse. ChatGPT was the first to pick up the metaphorical quill. Title: The Quiet Design. In a small Hampshire village, Miss Eliza Harrow is known less for her beauty than for her keen perception and unsettling habit of saying exactly what others wish left unsaid. Living with her widowed mother in genteel poverty, Eliza observes the social maneuverings of her neighbors with a mixture of amusement and quiet dissatisfaction. When the reserved and somewhat austere Mr. Adrian Bell arrives to manage his late uncle's estate, he quickly becomes the subject of speculation. Unlike the charming but unreliable Captain Fenton, who courts attention and Eliza's dear friend Marianne, Mr. Bell appears indifferent to society altogether. Yet Eliza detects in him a mind as observant as her own, though far more guarded. As Marianne becomes entangled in Captain Fenton's careless affections, Eliza finds herself drawn into a reluctant alliance with Mr. Bell to uncover the captain's intentions. In the process, their mutual regard deepens, though both resist it. Eliza from pride in her independence, and Mr. Bell from a long-held belief that affection invites disappointment. The turning point comes when Captain Fenton abruptly abandons Marianne for a wealthier match. Eliza, in confronting him publicly, risks her own reputation, but restores her friend's dignity. Mr. Bell, witnessing her courage and compassion, abandons his reserve and confesses both his admiration and his love. The ending. Eliza accepts Mr. Bell's proposal, not as a surrender of independence, but as a partnership of equals. Marianne, though wounded, begins a quieter and more thoughtful path toward happiness. The novel closes with Eliza reflecting that true understanding, though rare, is worth every misjudgment that precedes it. And now for the scene.
You have been silent so long, Mr. Bell, that I must conclude either you have nothing to say or too much.
It is the latter, I assure you, though I suspect you will find neither portion agreeable.
I have rarely required agreement to sustain my interest.
That, Miss Harrow, is precisely what renders you formidable.
Formidable? I had hoped only for tolerable.
Tolerable is easily ignored. You are not.
Then you must learn the skill. Society depends upon it.
I have no wish to ignore you.
That is an imprudent declaration.
So I am beginning to understand.
And yet you persist?
Yes.
Then, Mr. Bell, you must also prepare to be contradicted.
I should be disappointed if I were not.
Up next is Claude. As Claude cannot generate images, it was also asked to create detailed descriptions of the characters to be used with an AI capable of generating images. Title: The Maplewood Correspondence. Synopsis. Miss Cecily Vane, the clever but overlooked second daughter of a respectable Shropshire family, finds herself entangled in a war of letters when her elder sister's suitor, the wealthy and pompous Mr. Aldworth, mistakes one of Cecily's witty private notes for a declaration of romantic interest directed at himself. Rather than suffer the embarrassment of correction, the Vane family urges Cecily to, quote, manage the situation quietly, unquote. What follows is a comedy of mounting misunderstandings, as Cecily's attempts to discourage Mr. Aldworth only cause him to admire her more, while Colonel Brew, a quiet, perceptive man visiting the neighboring estate, reads the whole absurd affair with growing amusement and growing attachment. By the novel's end, Mr. Aldworth is steered with great relief to all parties toward a widow of considerable fortune who finds his pomposity charming. Cecily's sister marries her true beloved, a local clergyman of modest means but excellent character, and Cecily herself, having conducted one final honest correspondence, this time deliberately, into Colonel Brew, receives a letter returned that she reads 3 times before breakfast and does not show to anyone. Now for the scene.
Miss Cecily, I had hoped to find you at leisure. I find I am always hoping to find you at leisure.
And yet, Mr. Aldworth, I am rarely so. I find leisure disagreeing with me. It leaves one too much time to think.
Ha! A fine jest. You are always jesting. It is one of your most remarkable qualities. I remarked upon it to my man just this morning. I said, Fowler, Miss Cecily Vane is a most remarkable jester.
How very gratifying for Fowler.
I have been thinking, Miss Cecily, of your letter.
I wonder that you have had time between so many other reflections.
You wrote that the society of a man who truly listens is worth more than all the grand houses in England. I have thought of little else.
I believe I wrote that to my sister, about our old spaniel, Perkins.
The sentiment, I think, transcends its occasion.
As does Perkins, on the whole.
You are modest, Miss Cecily. It is another of your qualities. I have quite a catalogue.
You are too kind, Mr. Aldworth. I hope the catalogue is not so long as to be unwieldy. Those are so difficult to organise.
Delightful, absolutely delightful. Fowler will hear of this too.
Allow me to emphasise the impeccable nature of my lineage.
Quite. He can see everything from there.
As we leave our stalker hero to peer in windows, we will give Copilot the chance to dip its metaphorical pen into imaginary ink and create an undiscovered Austen manuscript. Title: The Honor of Briar Bridge. The novel follows Miss Charlotte Harbury, a clever but overlooked young woman living at Briarbridge Manor with her ambitious mother and gentle younger brother. When the wealthy and aloof Mr. Adrian Woodvale arrives to survey the neighboring estate he has unexpectedly inherited, the local families are thrown into a flurry of speculation. Charlotte, unimpressed by his reserve, nevertheless finds herself repeatedly drawn into his affairs as he struggles to navigate the tangled loyalties of the village. Complications arise when Mrs. Harbury schemes to secure a match between Charlotte and the charming but unreliable Captain Linton, whose debts and flirtations threaten to entangle the Harbury family in scandal. Charlotte uncovers evidence that Linton has been manipulating her brother for money, as she must decide whether to expose him at the cost of her mother's ambitions. In the ending, Charlotte publicly reveals Captain Linton's deceit, freeing her brother from his influence and earning the quiet admiration of Mr. Woodvale. Woodvale, recognizing Charlotte's integrity and wit, confesses that his reserve masked a growing affection for her. The novel closes with their engagement announced at a modest gathering where Charlotte finally feels seen and valued for her character rather than her prospects. And now for the short scene.
Miss Harbury, I hope I do not intrude.
Not at all, sir. I was merely enjoying the air. It is the only part of the day that belongs to me.
Then I am doubly sorry to disturb it. You seemed troubled.
You observe too much, Mr. Woodvale.
Only where you are concerned, I mean to say. Your family has been under some strain. If there is any assistance I might offer...
Assistance is rarely offered without expectation of return.
Then allow me to be the exception.
You speak as though you know my circumstances.
I know only this. You carry burdens that are not of your making, and you bear them with more grace than most could manage.
You give me too much credit.
I think not nearly enough.
If I were to tell you something in confidence, would you keep it?
With my life.
Our final chatbot to pick up the quill is Gemini. Title: The Quiet of Ashworth. Synopsis: In the isolated village of Ashworth, Miss Penelope Thorne lives a life of contented obscurity, caring for her eccentric, herb-obsessed father. Her peace is disrupted when a distant wealthy cousin, Mr. Silas Vane, arrives to claim the neighboring estate. Silas is brooding and dismissive of village life, but Penelope soon discovers he is hiding a massive debt incurred by his late brother. To save his family's honor, Silas intends to sell the estate to a ruthless industrialist. Penelope, through clever social maneuvering and a secret inheritance from a neglected aunt, secretly buys the debt. The ending. After a series of misunderstandings where Silas believes Penelope is courting the industrialist, the truth is revealed during a rainy walk in the Ashworth Gardens. Silas is humbled by her quiet strength and generosity. Instead of selling the land, they marry, combining their estates and ensuring Ashworth remains a sanctuary of tradition and greenery. And now for the scene.
You must see the futility of it, Miss Thorne. This village is a relic. My cousin's legacy is a pile of crumbling stone and unpaid wages.
A relic is only useless to those who do not know how to value history, Mr. Vane. A crumbling stone may still provide a foundation, provided one has the patience to rebuild.
Patience is a luxury for those with full pockets. I have a duty to my name.
Is it a duty to the name or a duty to your own pride? Selling to Mr. Blackwood will certainly fill your pockets, but it will empty this valley of its soul. I should think a Vane would find that a rather poor exchange.
You speak as though you have an alternative.
Perhaps I simply have a better imagination. Sugar, Mr. Vane? Or do you prefer your tea as bitter as your outlook?
I suspect, Miss Thorne, that you are the most dangerous woman in England.
Only to those who underestimate the quiet of Ashworth.
And there we have it. 4 chatbots sharing their versions of what an undiscovered Jane Austen novel might look like. All the chatbots had a story about an overlooked heroine, which is rather Austen-esque. But the stories do have some interesting plot points. In Claude's storyline, the heroine is encouraged by her family to correspond with her sister's would-be fiancé. In Regency England, there were very strict rules, and correspondence between an unrelated and also unengaged man and woman would have been scandalous, not encouraged. Also of note, the hero somehow knows the contents of correspondence between 2 other people. One must wonder if he intercepted the letters and steamed them open. That kind of fits with the heroes in 2 of the other books, who appear in windows like proper stalkers. Co-Pilot is the only one of the 4 that managed to not have its hero committing an act of stalkerism. In ChatGPT, the friend named Marianne, who is tricked by a villainous man, is pretty much lifted from Sense and Sensibility right down to the name. Also interesting was Claude's choice. In both this video and the Shakespeare video from last week, Claude was the only chatbot to opt to create a scene between one of the main characters and a secondary character rather than the hero and heroine. While not enough of a sampling to allow any sort of conclusion, it is interesting to note. Also interesting, 2 of the chatbots opted to name the hero Adrian, even though the name never appeared in any of Jane's works. The same 2 chatbots chose to name the villain the similar-sounding Captain Fenton or Captain Linton. So now it's up to you to decide, did any of these feel like Jane Austen? Next week, we'll move forward around 100 years to the Queen of Crime herself and ask the question, can AI write like Agatha Christie? While you ponder that question, if you're also wondering where you can find a great technology partner to help you incorporate AI into your business or for other technology needs, Swan Software Solutions can help. Visit swansoftwaresolutions.com to schedule a free assessment.